If you've ever been a little bit curious as to how our physical body health relates to what's going on between our ears, you're going to love today's episode with my amazing friend, Megan Blacksmith, who also lives here in Virginia Beach. This is the coolest thing. We are both in Business by Design, James Wedmore's program, and we found each other that we both lived in Virginia Beach, finally met at BBD Live, and then decided we would, meet for lunch and try to connect a little bit as local business owners. And I just adore her. We had a 3 hour lunch date, and then Megan came and joined our creative network meeting last month. And she sat right beside me, and it was just so incredibly valuable to have her in the room and to be able to lean on her coaching skills when I didn't know what to ask next. I'm a really good coach, you guys, but I love surrounding myself with even better coaches or coaches that are different. And I just remember kind of tapping her on the shoulder, giving her the green light to just, yes, jump in. We are more powerful together. And I just love that I've had her in my corner with all of this stuff with the event coming up. And she's going to be one of our amazing event experts. That is going to be super cool. I'll tell you a little bit more about that at the end of the episode. But let me read her official bio before we bring on Megan and really get into the meat and potatoes of this episode, because it is a good one. I feel like we could have talked all day long. So Megan is a holistic health coach, functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, speaker, NLP trainer, and mindset ninja. She's the co-founder of Zesty and Becoming Zesty podcast. She trains coaches, practitioners, and leaders with the tools for faster inner transformation without fighting themselves along the way through functional NLP. That is neuro-linguistic programming, if you have no idea what that is, and a combination of the principles of NLP and functional medicine and compassionate coaching. She really has this ability to see and hear you and validate feelings. She's just a beautiful and amazing human being. You're going to love this episode. We just go right into it. And then, like I said, at the end, I will tell you a little bit more about Megan's specific role at our Elevate and Inspire event. So let's get started. Welcome back to the Messy Success Podcast. I'm your host, Elizabeth Henson. This podcast is your space, your corner of the world to be messy, creative, and ambitious as you want to be. I'm incredibly passionate about helping people do what they love and make a living doing it. We all know that is a messy process, but the messy imperfection, the messy success is what makes it all so beautiful. I'm here to help you build community around your brand so that marketing is easy. There's no such thing as a self-made millionaire, in my opinion. We're all in this together. We shine the light on others, focus on leadership. And our theme here for 2024 is the 1% adventure, where we're getting 1% better every single day. So what do you say we get started? Hello, Megan. I am so freaking excited to have you here today on the Messy Success Podcast. I have told everyone a little bit about you, and I know some of our local people have met you recently, but let's hear how you help people and who exactly you are.
Thank you for having me, Liz. I love that you have local events because I have been craving that. And it was so fun to see and be with humans in person. So love that. So my name is Megan Blacksmith. I am the co-founder of a company called Zesty. So I do have a business partner. She's an MD, a pain doctor. So sometimes I say we, there are actually two of us. And together over time, we have decided that the world of conventional medicine failed her and me both,
Mm.
and we ended up in finding functional medicine. We ended up discovering that there was more to getting healthy and there was more to feeling good than what we'd been told. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Both of us had the classic, go to our doctors and say, like, this is not good or right. And we got the everything's great on your lab work and sent away. So we, for about 8 years, we worked with women on hormone health, and we brought in functional medicine, and we brought in lab functional lab work, and nutrients, and supplements, and lifestyle, and loved working with women in this category. And then, Liz, we kept seeing this pattern of people who are willing to do all the things, like all the things for their health. They ate like the best. I don't really know what good diet is, but they ate so well, so much better than I ever would. And they're meditating and they're in their sauna and right, they're just doing the things, all the functional lab work, the things that you would think would get them to the result they wanted. And it wouldn't. So, with this category of people, we started to find that there would be a common theme. There would be a belief or some kind of early life event or trauma, some energy essentially stuck in the body from something that happened in the past. And when we would finally discover this, I became I like to say, mindset ninja. I was really, really good at finding these things. But at the time, I didn't have a tool to actually change these things.
Mm.
So sometimes we'd find that in discussion, they'd be like, oh my gosh, it's all because of my sister, right? Like there'd be something. And sometimes that'd be enough. Most of the time, though, we were like, now what? That's cool. Now what? So that's when I, for my own personal health reasons, found the world of NLP, so neuro linguistic programming. The idea that neuro meaning the mind and linguistics meaning language and programming meaning that we are literally programmed with language to have beliefs, that we can actually change them and that we can rewire the subconscious. And we started adding, so what we now call functional NLP, we added the world of functional medicine, everything we had learned about the body, everything we had learned about the huge role of getting out of fight or flight and getting into parasympathetic, like getting people daily tools to just chill out the body, because that's not something that's classically a part of NLP, right? So we're
Right.
kind of bringing together like the physical body needs to be on board, the mental body needs to be on board, which is, of course, where all of NLP, you can come in, rewire a belief, you can reframe, you can change the way you talk to yourself, the way you talk to others. The language becomes the key to then what are those images you're making in your head? Like, what do you
Mm.
see when you say that? What do you hear? What do you feel? And then that creates the reality. So, bringing this together, we saw people having changes in their health really, really fast. And then we started having lots of coaches and practitioners essentially are started to ask, well, how are you doing that? And we decided to train. Now we train coaches, practitioners, leaders, entrepreneurs in NLP, hypnosis, quantum time technique. It doesn't really matter what the terms are. It's all a way of rewiring the mind, because there was the physical component, but then there were the business owners who are also doing all the things. So this category carried across. It wasn't just health. It's now we had the really amazing student, the type A, doing all the things in business and not getting results. And then we'd be like, oh, there's some belief there that if I do too well, I'm not going to be able to handle it, or my health will crash, or people will hate me, or right, there's the success beliefs, and implementing the tools to change the beliefs. We saw people, their physical health was getting better, their relationships are getting better, their business is getting better, and it has the most satisfying, gratifying job in the world now to have a process where we are integrating all of it, everything we've learned about the physical body with all of these amazing tools.
Oh my gosh, I love it. And yes, to functional medicine. I've shared a lot on here about my functional medicine journey. And when you talk about being able to feel things in the body, I feel like I've been able to pinpoint that on this really small scale. You know, James, our coach, kind of has taught us that pressure language, right, gives us a feeling in our body. And if you can identify just like this is to me, this is like entry level of like where you go deep is like when I say things like, I need to exercise, there's a pressure, like a physical pressure that our body feels versus like, oh, it's a beautiful day. I get to take a walk, right? There's a difference in how your body receives those messages. And like you can play around and feel that difference of like the lightness versus the heaviness. Like imagine what's possible if you work with somebody like Megan and you remove like the big thing. Like these are little examples. Like what about the big thing that's causing like the pelvic pain or the back pain or the hip pain? Like that's so interesting to me because I've only like experienced it on the surface level.
Well, and you bring up like pelvic pain and back pain. So my business partner, she had chronic pain, which is what she became a pain doctor because she was a piano major and was like, no one is helping. Like she had undiagnosed endometriosis
Mm,
for a long time. I don't know if it was like 10, 15 years. It was a really, really, really long time. So that turned into chronic pain where her whole body hurt all the time. Like if I touched her arm without, that would hurt her, so it turned into the the body sending the signal for pain all of the time. And there wasn't an actual, then she had surgery for endometriosis, so there wasn't actually a physical thing anymore causing the pain. It's just now pain has been turned on in the
mm,
body.
mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a weird thing to think about. It's not like there's an injury or anything anymore that is causing that, and now your mind, your brain is creating that throughout the whole body. And so it was such a cool process to watch with her because she was told that she was going to go into early menopause at like 26, and
Oh my gosh.
10 years later, 12 years, she has not still. And she just they kept being like, "These aren't possible, and somehow your stuff is changing," right? Like, just,
Yeah.
no one's and, she had celiac disease and, like, if I was in a hotel room with her, Liz, I'd be, like, checking with the waiter and be like, "Are you sure nothing
Yeah.
has touched this?" Because 'Cause she'd be vomiting, diarrhea, and, she, again, has rewired her mind. She can eat gluten just fine, right? Yeah.
Wow.
I
That's
mean,
crazy.
not saying she's gonna choose to all the time, but, like, it is
Right.
not there is no symptom there's none of that. And and then the chronic pain, that was something where this was an all the time thing. I mean, this was like if she was on, during her cycle, she's rotating like ibuprofen, Tylenol every 4 hours, and so it was so cool to just watch her, like, take down medication after medication after medication, and of course, we did the physical body things. We did, she did, and it was that last, like, 20%, it was all in the world that you're talking about. It was
Mm,
all in, um, mostly we used hypnosis and visualization of that her body is safe, and she cleared out all the there was some really heavy childhood trauma that she shares openly, so in the process that we use, you go back and you get learnings from old events and just really cleared out the energy from, so that alone, I mean, it's just so cool. She's just like a different human. And then
yeah.
now, once we were working with a lot of women, they'd free up energy, right? Their hormones are better, they're feeling good. And then we got to see they're on that next level. They're like, well, now I want to create something in the world, right? Like
Yeah.
now they're ready to make a business, start a podcast, write a book. And so then we got really excited about working with that group of people because now that we're in the creative world.
Yeah, well, like, you have to feel better to do better. I know when I was kind of hitting my rock bottom as far as, like, how I felt physically, I was like, "How am I supposed to commit to exercising when I don't feel good? When I've got this body pain, when I've got, like, super lethargic?" Like, I wasn't motivated, and I was like, "This is not me," and like you said, the mainstream doctors were like, "Oh, you have high cholesterol. How do you feel about medication?" I'm like, "I have high cholesterol for the first time in my entire life. Like, can't we look at other options?"
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Like what is underneath this?
Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy, and that all is so interesting to me. So I hope everyone listening just like just try it on. Just think about it. Just think about how your body feels and how mentally you're speaking to yourself and the energy that your mind is putting into it. And this is a real thing. So like if we have any like woo doubters that are like no way, think about when people like lose a limb and there's the phantom pain. Like those people will vouch that that is real. Like my foot is not there, but I feel the pain in my foot that is not there. So your brain really can control what is going on in the physical body and what we sense, like the sensations, right?
Yeah, so I think that's a great point, is to just kind of bring this back to like actual science, so that that's the fun thing about working with a doctor is that
Yes.
she gets to bring all the science. I'm much more on the energy side of things. And um you know she always says it's like there is no free thought. So we think we look in the mirror and say like, "Oh, I suck," or "I'm not pretty," or "Oh, look at that roll on my stomach," or whatever, right? Like, "I'm horrible in business." And just because it's inside of our head does not mean that it is free. It does not mean that it doesn't have an impact on the body,
No.
because each of those thoughts, which is what you're talking about, will create a biochemical reaction, a neurotransmitter reaction. So I know everyone here has had a situation where they're thinking about, I'm about to speak on that stage later, and your stomach goes crazy and you need to run to the bathroom, right?
Yes,
Like
yes, yes.
you're thinking, nothing has happened. You are thinking about something stressful or something potentially scary, and your body will physically react. It's the same thing if I say to everyone right now, all right, I want you to imagine that you have a nice juicy lemon. I want you to just cut open that lemon and just take a lick of that inside of that lemon. I mean, even just me telling you about the lemon,
Yeah.
right? Immediately salivate, right?
Yeah, and I got like this little tingle right here.
You get the tingle, right?
Yeah.
So it's we are preparing. Our mind is like preparing for the lemon, because that's what happens when you're actually going to eat the lemon. That's how powerful the visualization is. And that was about, what, 2 seconds of me mentioning the lemon. So now imagine if you're visualizing the thing that you really want. You're like, I
Yeah.
have this amazing business and I have all these clients who love me, and I'm I've built my retreat center, I've finished my book, and then your body is going to get into that biochemical state as if it has happened.
Oh my gosh.
Like, actually doesn't know. It really doesn't know the difference,
Yeah.
whether it has happened or not, because the imagery, if you're seeing it, you're looking, if you're getting the feeling, like, it's like you have it.
I love
And
that you used
now,
that example of getting on stage because yeah, the physical symptoms start before you've even stepped on stage. So that's your mind doing that. Yes.
right,
So good.
you're not up there yet, right? You
Yeah.
don't even see the people yet. It could be a week before,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right? Thinking about, "Whoa, what am I gonna say?" Or what, So we're super powerful, but we're super powerful in both directions, right? Like, that's an
Mhm.
example of, like, maybe we don't want our stomach turning, but we're also super powerful in thinking about what we do want. And I love that you brought up all the words of like, I can't, I should, I have to, right? The words that immediately, the energy of that is so, in the world of NLP, we're really asking like, shouldn't according to who? So like usually
Mm,
these are terms that are, they're not ours necessarily. So when we say shouldn't, we're offloading our power to someone or something. Some
yeah.
system of somewhere, they say one should not do that.
Yeah.
Where I remember when my mom was working on her health, and there were some foods that she didn't feel great eating, and we would go out to the restaurant and she'd say like, "What am I allowed to eat?" And every time those words, it like just made me cringe, because I'm like, "Oh, like allowed?" And I was like, "Well, remember, you're allowed to eat anything on this menu." Or it
Mhm.
was like, "What can I have?" I'm like,
Mhm.
"You can have literally anything you want to order." And I can remind you that when you eat dairy and a lot of cheese, you don't feel great and you don't sleep well. But that's a choice, right? Like, so it becomes, everything becomes a choice. Like, not what should I do or what do I have to do? I'm choosing to do, because sometimes we are choosing to do something that has resistance, right? Like that first few times you run, or the first few times you go live or stand on a stage, like there will probably be some resistance. So it's
Yeah.
not like you only do something if it feels like super duper easy. It's just that you don't have to. You are choosing to because the other option is maybe not going towards your long-term goal, or right, it'll lead to something different. And that language, that small tweak in language, it's amazing the shift we'll see in people we're working with in business. The coolest thing about applying these things, especially for people who have like a structure in business already, it's like you don't actually have to do more. You don't have to do anything different. It's that we're really working on pulling stuff away, like the beliefs
Mm,
and things that are causing us it. Most of the people I work with, we're actually taking things away.
yeah.
The hardest
I feel like
thing.
I'm doing less the more I
Yes.
learn and the better that I improve with my language. It does feel like I'm doing less. And imagine if your mom said, you know, what can I choose to eat that will make me feel great? Right? Or
Mhm.
like, what's going to fuel my body? Like the difference in how her body would physically receive that language versus what am I allowed to eat? That's such a good practical example.
Liz, that reminds me at the live event you said, "I don't do the things."
That's going to be a
And
joke for a while. Oh my gosh. We need a poster for the event. Liz does not do the things.
I love that statement, right? You're like, I mean, we don't the unlinking the fact that like productivity equals our worth is probably one of the biggest money makers out there because right,
Yes.
you're like, I don't do the physical things, like you're being the leader and you're being the guide that doesn't require you to do the hours and sit and write the email. So I think the earlier we can unlink those, because that's a really strong one for anyone. A lot of people who've become successful in business had that, like, I was a really good student. A lot of us
Yeah.
were like, that's kind of how we got to let's do this other thing. And then at some point, it's really stopping us because now we're in the work, doing the things, managing the tasks when our highest good is usually more visionary, usually
Yeah.
more like zoom out a little bit. It's the scary task of texting someone or messaging someone new, the 5-minute task that requires a little more like, am I worthy of this? It requires more belief work than anything else,
Mm,
than the like writing for hours or creating the physical funnel or whatever it is, right?
yeah.
It's more that 10-minute, 5 to 10 minute scary task. That's what usually moves the needle with the connection. I mean, that's what you do is the community.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can feel it in my body and my mind when I'm doing tasks that are not of my highest good, right? And they might be great for the business. I mean, I love to use Canva graphics as an example because I actually think being in Canva is kind of fun, right? Like, and it's kind of mindless sometimes, but once I'm in there too long and I'm not getting the results that I want because I know that my creative director is going to do it 100 times better, I'm like, why am I here? Like,
Mhm.
why am I like, let me just send it to her. Let me get the bare minimum that I need. Like, this is not where I need to be. Like you said, it's like, writing emails to my network, it's going live, it's being on my podcast and being in networking calls, 100%. Okay, so we've had this like underlying theme of like our mind and our body, and we're kind of getting into the habits, which I know is your specialty, and I'm so excited to learn more from you. So, what's a good starting point for this conversation with someone who wants to start a new habit, whether it's journaling, whether it's meditating, whether it's exercising more? Like I just in the last year kind of feel like I finally tackled like health and wellness and exercise into my life. So, what would you say to somebody that's really just can't seem to get that habit going?
Okay, so whenever there is a habit that someone is not actually doing, and I just want to do a little side note, our version of habits is from a little bit more of like a higher perspective. I'm going to say like a holistic perspective. So we look at habits through the four bodies: physical, mental, emotional, energetic. And so, what I'm not talking about is all of the amazing habit stacking tools and
Mm.
techniques, which I love. There's lots of great habit specific books. Love it. But many people will know that they have used those books.
They don't always
Yeah.
work.
Right. So, that is where, when it's not working, that is where we need to go a little bit deeper.
Mm.
Usually, when it's not working, that's because, well, there's a lot of reasons, but we want to really ask questions about this habit we're trying to implement before we go too deep, because we will have people. So we do a 2-day live, like in person live habit workshop once a year in Virginia Beach and once a year in Dallas. And we'll always have someone will come with, people want to start a habit like running, or like they're like, I really want to go to bed earlier. And that's totally awesome. Of course, these are great habits. Every single time, though, we have to ask a lot of questions, because probably, I don't know, 60 to 70% of the time, once we've asked questions, we realize that's not really their goal.
Mm-hmm.
So, if it's not really your goal and it's not really meeting a value or a need, then there's probably a reason why you don't end up doing it.
Yeah.
So, we want to just really ask ourselves, whatever it is that whoever's listening, whatever it is you've been saying you want to do, but you're not doing, we just have to start to ask, like, what is the value that I'm going to get out of this, or that I believe I'm going to get out? What is the need it's going to meet? And just start to really write that out and understand what it is I'm trying to get at. Because sometimes that need that you're trying to meet is in direct conflict with another value or need that's even higher. So I know, for me, having gone through a lot of health stuff and had been on like strict protocols, and then in the past I ran a marathon and like did a lot of like things in an extreme way.
Mm.
And the way I did it in an extreme way led to me really crashing my health, and I knew I had this extreme way about it. So now when I approach health, I have like ease and comfort are much higher on my list than they
Mm.
ever used to be. Like, those are much higher values, because I know that the way I did things with so much intensity was long-term not working out for my personal body. But that really shifted, though, because I used to have like, growth and strength and force like higher on the list. And so it is trickier, though, to start certain habits, because if you have comfort at the top of your list, going out for a run isn't comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, like, why am I not starting to exercise? But when you really sit down and are like, what is a top priority to you right now in my life? Comfort is higher, because I've come out of a phase where it was not. So that's one thing to really look at. It's like, when in the context of whatever habit you're trying to do, what are your values around it? All you have to do is ask yourself, what is most important to me about exercise or my health? What is
Yeah.
most important to me about my business? And as we go through, we will notice, is this task that I'm asking myself to do, or this habit, does it match up with these, or is it competing? So in
Mm.
business, we have a lot of people who have really, really high value of freedom, but then they also want money and growth. And those can be competing for a while. Eventually, awesome, like you create the business and the company, and then you get the freedom. But in the beginning, it might not look very free. It might look
Yeah.
like you're doing a lot of things to set up systems and make it happen. So it's like, what season of life are you in, and are you willing to do those things? But if we keep freedom on the top of the list and keep trying to force ourselves to do like 8 hours of sitting there, and then we're like, why can't I get myself to write, or why can't I get myself to do those things? It may be in direct conflict with like a really high value.
Mm.
So we can move them, we can change them. Do you have a question? I see
Well,
a
yeah,
question.
I was like, let's break this down. Let's use an example. So, because I think a lot of people listening are like, okay, great, I value this, but like I still want to be skinny or I still want to exercise, right? But then I'm like, let's apply this to a business thing. So I feel like the health and the skinny, like we've all been there, right? So it's almost tax time, and I know my friends, we all have these ongoing conversations of like, all right, I did it again. We're like, I started off so good in January, like doing all my meticulous little finances, and then I fall off, and then tax season comes around, and now I'm doing it all at once. So the resistance is either to keep up with it, like every single month, like we say we're going to, or like to finally delegate and outsource, right? So it's like we keep saying, oh, I'm going to delegate that and then not. And then tax season rolls around. It's like, oh, I did it again. I dropped the ball. Right. So it's like creating that habit to stay on top of our bookkeeping or whatever it might be. That's just the example I'm using. So what
Mhm.
would you say to me if I was like, Megan, I'm ready to create a new habit in 2024. I'm going to do my bookkeeping every single Monday.
Okay, perfect. So, what we wanna get into is what are the possible, we call them secondary gains. So what do you get out of not outsourcing the books? Like, what is it that potentially would keep you doing it? Because a lot of people, some people will say that they want to outsource, or they'll say they want to, do it in a different way, but really they have a belief like, I'm the only one who can do it. Or maybe
Mm,
there's a money belief there of like, um, I don't wanna pay anyone to do anything else, right? So, often with the habits that aren't actually happening, there's some belief there as
mm.
well that's conflicting.
Ooh,
So
okay.
it can be in any of the category. It can be in the physical category, so that would be like the working out, but I want comfort. It can be
Hmm.
in the mental category where you're like, "Well, I say I want that, but then I also have the belief that I don't spend money on or like people who spend money on stuff like that are extravagant." I don't know. It could be all sorts of, or like I cannot trust people. Maybe you have a general belief like you can't trust other people,
There's so many beliefs that could come up with this one. For
right?
for me
Don't
in
look at my
particular,
numbers.
it's the and I love this because the belief, once we get to the belief, then you can really start to help people identify why it's not happening. Because we
Mm,
all have these habits that we want to create, but if you don't know the root cause of why you can't stay on the wagon, which is built by a belief that we haven't uncovered. Oh my gosh, so good. Okay, so my belief around this is like I'm not organized enough and it feels like more work to show somebody else how to do it. It's not that I don't trust, it's that it feels like more work for me to find someone and offload it than to just keep doing what I'm doing.
right. So it will temporarily be harder.
Yes.
But you said I'm not organized. So like the I'm not organized, that would be probably a belief that could affect you in many areas, right?
Mhm.
Right. So when we come to a belief like that, well, first of all, we always get to decide, like, do you want that belief? Like, do, maybe, sometimes you do, but if you don't want that belief, because the I'm not organized could be protecting you from handing it off,
Mhm.
because there could be something underneath that your brain's like, but if I hand it off, is that gonna mean I'm like a really successful business owner? And then am I gonna expect more of myself? Or I don't, there can be
So many different ones. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
a whole chain of things that we're protect. So we have to watch if we're like, dang, I keep saying this. Like we call it the kids table. So sometimes we'll work on a belief and it still feels like it's showing up a little bit.
Yeah.
And so at Thanksgiving, Liz, there's the table and then the kids table, right? And so like when
I'm like,
you're
she's putting me at the kids' table. I see it coming.
when 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 you're a kid, you're like, cool, I want to be at the kids table, right? When you're an adult and you get put at the kids table, well, so sorry, if you're a kid, you're at the kids table, cool. But if you're a teenager and they put you at the kids table, you're pissed.
Mhm.
'Cause you're like, "No, I have graduated from the kids' table," right? Like, I don't put me with the kids. You're pushing away from that. If you're an adult and you get put at the kids' table, you're like, "Sweet. I'm gonna have a good conversation finally," right? Like,
Mhm.
whatever, put me with the kids. There's no feeling around it. So when we're in the teenage zone of like, this is an old belief, but I'm still kind of fighting it, then you'll still have a feeling about it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I said feeling, because this is where we work. We have the beliefs, but we also have the emotional body is the whole compass to deciding whether that belief is really accurate or not, or whether we want it.
Mm.
Because when you say the words like, I'm not organized, I don't know, I can kind of imagine maybe you feel something in your body. Like, does that feel good for you to say that?
Yeah, I think what I'm feeling more is that resistance to something that feels like more work now, even if it's easier later, right? Because I already
Mhm.
know I'm type B. I don't necessarily make that mean anything. Like, sure, I could be more organized, but at the end of the day, I know my numbers are still fine. It's kind of a messy way of doing it in my head, right? Compared to what? Compared to who? But for me, there is a definite like physical resistance to like I'm gonna have to put in a couple hours to like offload this and I just don't want to deal with that right now. Versus like,
Okay.
I mean, the organization probably does show up in different parts of my life for sure. And I'm sure we could work on that. But I don't feel that I'm making it mean anything about me if I'm not organized.
Do you think if you spent 3 hours that you knew, not just this year, but like the next 3 years, you could essentially completely hand stuff off and you wouldn't have to touch it at all? Would that be worth it?
Worth it, yes. But I think when I'm choosing the 3-hour block, it's like the easiest thing to dump, right? And this comes up
Mhm.
over and over with different things in our lives. So I love that. So yes, the answer is yes, it would be easier.
You do, because I'm wondering, maybe you don't believe it would be easier. I don't know.
Mm,
Possibly there is a, like, maybe there's a belief of this is something I'll never hand off. I'll never really be able to hand off. So therefore, I'm going to do it
yeah.
in the way that I'm doing it. Or, right there, if you really, really felt like there was a long term benefit of doing it in that way, my guess is that you would be more likely to do it.
Yeah. Maybe it's because I don't know, or there's kind of when I feel like I don't truly know and understand something or haven't mastered it, I feel less secure teaching somebody else how to do it. Maybe there's something there.
Mm, this is good. I love it. Right? So then, maybe there's a belief around, I have to fully master everything before I hand it off, which I'm
Mhm.
not saying is a bad belief, right? That could be a really powerful belief.
Mhm.
So then you say, "Oh, okay. So what does that mean? Maybe this is not something I've mastered." And then you can ask, like, "Do I want to master this?
No.
Or do I want to be okay with the fact that I maybe don't totally know, but I'm still going to hand it off?"
Yeah. And they probably know what to do better. I mean, there's people out there that are experts that choose to do this, right? Whatever said thing is that we want to outsource. There are people that know it better and do it better and whatever that might be. So, yeah.
So do you
Oh, so
trust
good.
yourself to find the person that knows it better? Because maybe this is like, how would I find that person?
Yeah. I trust myself, yeah, but again, it's like I don't wanna right now.
I don't want to. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's boring.
Yeah, a little bit a little bit boring and, like, time consuming, and I don't wanna spend time on it right now.
Right. So,
Yeah,
like, there's way more fun things to do.
way more fun things to do, and I can see how people would say this about anything. I don't wanna run right now, even though I do wanna run right now, but someone else might say the same thing about, "Well, I'd much rather sit there and do numbers than go running."
Yeah. Taxes always comes up. It's such a good one because if you do, like, your business values, probably gonna have, like, everyone's will be different, but maybe there's impact and growth and fun are
Mhm,
gonna be on the
mhm.
top, right? And, like, where do taxes fall?
Exactly, and for me, when my value, speaking of that, is light and easy, right? So keeping my business light and easy, but then also being in my highest good, and I don't feel like taxes fit anywhere under either of those.
Right. They kind of fall outside, like, the umbrella category. It's kind of like maybe eating well wouldn't fall inside of any specific business category, and maybe
Yeah,
taxes don't, but they are a bigger requirement of just, like, keeping the system healthy, right? Like,
yeah.
they're part of, well, if you choose to do them, so you just not do them. That's always a choice.
Oh my god, I'm like one of those people, it's like you would think that I put it off, but no, I'm always like, "No, I get my taxes done, like, as soon as possible," because that's how much I dread just even, like, looking at all the numbers. But then I'm always glad I did. I'm always like, "Oh, I had a better year than I thought," or whatever it might be. Like, "Look how good my February was. Let's do that again."
Oh, Liz, you just said a really important part. So you just said dread looking at my numbers.
Yeah.
So this probably isn't even about organization at all. This is where all this, like, hidden stuff comes in. It's like,
Mm,
it's like, oh, I'm not good at doing that kind of thing. Taxes, right? Like, it's organized or it's numbers, but it potentially is a little bit more of, did I do as well as I thought I did? Or did I, right?
yeah.
Am I worthy of being this business owner who I say I am, right? Like, will
Yeah.
the numbers tell a different story than I
Not
think I
wanting to,
am?
like, see how much I spent because there's
Not wanting to
shame
see.
around that.
Yep.
Yeah,
Shame of
okay.
spending. You and I are good spenders, we decided.
I'm like, the making money's not the problem. It's the other side.
Yeah, so see how, like, something as small as taxes can
Yeah.
really show that there is some belief around you said shame, so it's like, I spend too much money, maybe
Yes.
the belief.
Yep. My money belief is I spend the money that I make, 100%.
Yeah,
So whether I make $10 or whether I make $10,000 or $100,000, I'm gonna spend what I make.
yeah, like, it's in and out.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I
Yeah,
don't know. I mean, money is energy, and I do believe I embody that, which is one of the reasons, but there's this part of me that does carry a lot of shame because I feel like I'm more worthy if my money can stack up, right?
mhm,
Like if I can have physical money in the bank, then I've succeeded, right?
right. I always had the belief, like, that I have exactly the amount of money that I need.
Mhm.
And I always did, like, to the number. It was
Me too, me
crazy.
too.
Sounds like what you yeah, so it would be like, make 5,000 extra dollars or make 5,300 extra dollars, and there would be, like, a 5,300 extra dollar, like, car bill. Like, it was always to the number too, like,
Mhm.
crazy stuff, which for a long time, I was like, "Well, that's kinda awesome. I always have what I need." Like,
Yeah.
that does feel pretty good. And then I had a mentor who really challenged me. He said, "Well, would it be nice to have a belief that, you always have more than you need or that money
Yes.
piles up in your bank account?" And I was like, "Oh, well, that's a good choice."
That would be a good choice. That'll
That's
put me at the grown-up table.
and you think about it though, like, I always have exactly what I need. That was programming that I got and probably you got in, like, the coming from the generation of, like, fairness,
Mm.
and you can't want, I'm using that word on purpose, like, you can't or you shouldn't want more than you have,
Yeah.
right? Like, that mentality of what kind of a person are you if you do? So when that's so deep in us, like when there's been installed shame around something like that, then anytime we start to get more money, we're gonna feel that. We're gonna physically feel that shame in our body. And
Mm.
without realizing, we're gonna be uncomfortable. And then it's like, oh, here's the money, right? Like somehow it goes out. Like we physically send it out or someone needs it, right? Like because the feelings in the body are the compass.
Yeah, yeah.
So we have to once as soon as we find a statement like that of like I shouldn't want more money or it's shameful to have extra. What we do is a process to go back to whatever that event was. There's some event where we learn this, and our
Mhm.
unconscious mind takes us. You do not have to know where. We're going back to that event and we're getting learnings from it from a higher perspective, and we can actually rewrite those pathways so we can install a new belief.
Yeah.
But then the key is because the work we do, we love, and honestly, you can rewire new beliefs just by taking action. It just usually feels a little bit
Takes a
harder
while. It's not gonna be
without
overnight, right? Like, I
yeah,
have to
without
say it, have to
the
embody it, have to
rewiring.
say it, have to try it on for a while, have to start believing it.
Right, right. The rewiring makes the process faster, but and you could just literally be like, "Okay, I am now a person who believes it's safe to have it's safe to make more than
And keep it. It's safe to keep the
it's safe to
money.
keep it." That's the
Yeah.
wording. Yes. Safe to keep it. It's safe to have more than I need is I think where it's going with that.
Yeah.
And then you are asking yourself, what is a small task I could do or a thing I could do to represent this, right?
Mm.
How can you just over and over and over be like, okay, well, a person with that belief will do this.
Ooh.
They maybe won't go out and say, oh, I have 10,000 extra. I'm going to buy that 10,000 extra thing. Maybe they won't do that. Maybe they'll wait. Like what does that look like? Or maybe they'll receive more from other people where I know the common belief is like, some people only really accept when they're in need. So
Mhm.
that like once they feel like they're not in need, they're like, oh no, I don't receive. I just give now.
Yeah.
So maybe you're still receiving even when doing well.
Well,
Right. So we
you know
can,
what's funny is, like, I got a total download or, like, intuitive hit of, like, people who do this, they put money away automatically every month, and they just look at it like a bill, right? So I'm gonna save
yeah.
$100 every month, and it's just gonna go over here. And I'm, like, hitting myself on the head because, like, I'm already doing that. Like, I have a Roth that we put money into every single month. So I'm over here saying I don't do something that I
Mm.
actually do.
That's kids' table. That's right, you're like, you've already worked on this, but the old programming is really strong, right? So
Yeah. Well, I've
that's
taken a
something
physical
yeah.
action, but
Yeah.
I didn't embody the characteristics of somebody who does that. I just kind
Mhm.
of like did a set it and forget it,
Mhm.
right? And like,
Yeah.
okay, it's there and I'm doing it and it's happening, but it's almost like separate from me because it's just like a switch I turned on, but I didn't really embody it, I think is the problem.
Mhm. Well, that's cool. That's a cool realization. So there's all these nuances and there's a lot of, like, cool ways that you can start to just right, like, take little actions like that and just be like, "Okay, what else can I do to if this is how I would like it to show up in my world, I would like
Yeah.
universe to send more money than I need, like, how do I do my part to be that person?
Yeah.
And what does that person believe? What does that person feel? Who does that person have around them? What do they say to themselves? Like, how can I just be that person before I necessarily am that person?"
Yeah, so good. So
Yeah.
good. Oh my gosh, I love it. I feel like I could go into this forever. I'm like, we could go on for multiple hours. Like, just fix me. Let's fix all these little beliefs I have.
I love it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so tell us, what's coming up for you guys? Like, what's next? How can people get more of this?
Yes. So we do 2-day live events twice a year. So I would love to invite anyone listening. I'd actually love to give away a free ticket.
Yeah.
So this is a fun thing I like to do on podcasts because I want you to go leave a review on Liz's amazing podcast. You leave the review. We'll give them what, like a week, Liz? Does that sound good? Give them a week from when this airs?
Yeah, I think so. A week or two. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe put hashtag zesty so our business is becoming zesty. That way we can know it was that you're looking to enter to win a free ticket. So in August, we have a live event in Dallas, and then we'll do it again in Virginia Beach in January. So we're open to
To either
whichever
one.
location. Yep.
Cool. Okay. I know. I'm
And
like, I have
we
got to be at your Virginia Beach one next year. We need to make sure we cross reference our dates.
yes, we're pretty much always it's like January 19th, 20th
Yeah.
around there every year. So we'll make sure. And we go for 2 full days deep into habits through all the 4 bodies.
I love
And
it.
so you can bring a habit. We rewire a belief as a group. We do a group process to rewire a belief. I've had people leave and say like that one exercise alone was worth more than the whole event. It's a really, really cool community of people who are we say we don't just want to transform, we want to transform faster. So it's like
Mhm.
what tools can we bring in to like accelerate the growth? It's we're always growing and learning, but how can we actually interact with our world in a way that we're like going for the change? And
Yeah.
we use every single thing that comes at us as a way to be like, "Oh, that belief's still there." Right? "Oh, that mirror is still there." So we love 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 our community and so eventually, we have twice a year as well. We have a 7-day in-person like certification, NLP, QTT hypnosis. So for someone who wants to go all in and get there's 4 certifications, 7 full days, we rewire all the things because you basically are the person receiving and then you're also using every single process like you are the practitioner. So by the time you leave, you will have received and given for every single process there is. There's ways to rewrite beliefs, phobias, energies, things that will have people come in for their maybe for a physical health thing and then they leave and they're like, "Oh my god, I just made like 30,000 more dollars in my business." And they were not focusing on that because they didn't realize how much energy
Oh my gosh,
was going
yes.
out
Yes.
um, from that. And then we have the other way around where someone will come in just for business, like they're there to learn language, to write better copy. They're there maybe to use some of the stuff with clients. And we've had people leave and say, "Oh, I did not realize that I would be having a whole life change of
Yes.
who I am and what I do." So it's a super cool process. And uh, we have on Instagram, it's at Becoming Zesty, and our email is support at Becoming Zesty, and our podcast is Becoming Zesty. So all the places,
Easy to
Becoming
find.
Zesty, please feel free to reach out, email, message us. We love to connect.
Yes, and we'll put everything in the show notes, and Megan will be at Elevate and Inspire, so you guys can come and meet her in person in April
Yeah.
as well.
I can't wait to be there.
Oh my gosh,
It'll
I'm
be
so
so good.
excited. Well, thank you for joining us. This was incredible, and we'll make sure that we keep in touch and see you at one of your events. All right, this is episode 147. So you guys can find the show notes at elizabethhenson.co/E147 to go connect with Megan. Make sure you leave us a review and reach out to her to get that free ticket to her events. I have heard amazing, amazing things about her in-person events. So head on over to the show notes, elizabethhenson.co/E147. And Megan is going to be one of our experts at the Elevate and Inspire event. I told you guys I would tell you more about that. So she's going to be our NLP expert in the room, but she is also going to be guiding the room through a goal setting exercise, which I am very excited about. So at the Elevate and Inspire event, we're going to have a room full of experts, and you as an attendee will have the opportunity to meet and engage and learn from these experts in the room. So you guys have the chance to come and meet Megan at the Elevate and Inspire event. So make sure that you head on over and grab your ticket to that if you have not already. And special shout out to our amazing sponsors for the event, Subflow and Interact. We are going to be linking their information in the show notes as well. And we hope to see you guys there.